Hey, Jason, I was gonna just do an audio test.
I have to unmute my microphone as well as my Zoom. I've got good audio and good video here.
Okay, perfect. As far as we know, no one's attending virtually, and we typically don't have any members of the public that attend virtually either. So I'll try to keep my eyes out for them just in case. Jason is staff, I guess. Sorry, we do have one person.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was just observing or if he needs to be panelist as well.
If you could move him to a panelist, that would be great. Thank you.
Of course.
And outside of that, I don't anticipate anyone else joining the meeting.
All right. Sounds good.
And I'll call us to order here shortly once I get everything.
Surveyor review board.
Is that today?
Yeah, that's today.
I'll forward it to remind you, like, right as something starts. And
On prompt.
Does anybody come into our chapter meeting?
Looks like, well, did Meeks respond? Ted Darnell said that he wasn't, so I may just reach out to him and ask him to go ahead and give me his report. But I haven't heard from anybody else. Nobody else is RSVP.
That's not today, is it?
No,
No, it's
I was gonna
The
try and
25th.
get my cat, Corey start coming since he's got a state down there.
right. It'd be nice to get Corey on board for sure.
He is one of our
But
board members.
is he? He's kind of a ghost.
Yeah.
I've not seen him.
All right, if you guys want, I can
Ready?
call us to order. All right. I'd like to call to order the. We could close that door. I think we would get some foot traffic. Thank you. Not springing up like I used to. All right, thank you. I'd like to call the order. I would like to call to order the Monroe County Survey Review Board regular meeting, August 23rd, 2022. We have board member Rachel Ozer and Eric Deckard here, which meets the physical requirement. And we have no members attending virtually. We do have one staff member, Jason George, attending virtually, and we have our office manager and secretary to the Surveyor Review Board, Donna Barbarick, here present in person. All right. I would like a motion for approval of the agenda. We're not doing any minutes today just due to the time it took last time, and we figured we'd try to fast track this meeting and just bring all the minutes to a later date, especially since half of what we covered last time relates to today. So I think just kind of looking at all the minutes together is a good approach.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Ozer,
yes.
Mr. Decker?
Yep.
Okay, agenda is approved. We'll go to new business, which we just kind of keep here so we can kind of talk freely if needed. The office update, I'm going to keep very general today. We hired a new GIS coordinator and has about 17 years of experience in the ESRI platform, which is kind of the software we use here. Also has his master in historic archaeology or industrial historic archaeology, which is pretty neat. It's really relevant to a lot of things here at the county. And I think he spent, I don't know the amount of years, but a significant amount of time teaching students and grad students at IU about GIS and how to use GIS. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
very promising. One other office update, and that's just to alert that I will be sending out service agreements. There will be two in the emails. I'll be reaching out for two different areas of the county. They'll look similar because they're kind of the same sections but different townships. And the idea is to kind of get a quote back from the surveyors and then kind of move forward. I also kind of, I think, depending on what information we receive back and kind of the quotes, my goal is to offer the two agreements to two separate surveyors, but try to get an idea of what each one would cost per firm. So I'll be sending that out and then attempt to kind of move into an agreement phase by next month. So this could be work that could be green lit this year if time permits, or something that could be encumbered into 2023. So just kind of FYI, we'll be kind of sending those out in email so we can kind of keep a dialogue, email chain, kind of a conversation. So I would open that up to questions, I guess, if there are any.
Yeah, sure. My question is this going to pertain to the Monroe County boundary itself, or is this going to be more interior corners? I know that you've talked about, having actually the exterior of the county looked at first and then start working your way inside. Kind of what's your thought process?
So the areas that are selected are on the county boundary.
Mhm.
And the goal is to try to get a sense of like what the cost would be to really then truly decide and determine how to move forward as kind of more of an hourly rate or a flat rate per corner. So
Mhm.
I'm still kind of trying to get a baseline understanding of what the cost would be, knowing that the two agreements that we were able to kind of accomplish, that those flat rates were kind of, I guess, were honored, but moving forward, were basically indicated to me that they were not really profitable for the firms. So they, I took that into consideration of maybe adjusting a flat rate. But also I would be kind of curious what maybe an idea of what hourly rate would be too. And then moving forward to decide if a flat rate or hourly rate is kind of what is going to be most effective for this office as far as, the sustainability and the cost that we incur. So, and when I mean sustainability of the fund because it's limited.
Sure.
So.
Did you, was there any conversations with the adjoining county surveyors about letting contracts for adjacent corners? I'm just thinking in terms of double corners, and like the one that we did was on Lawrence County line, and we did the Lawrence County tier sections at the same time, which made a difference in the price because that means on the
Yeah, at least
on
you'd
the
be able to.
county line, the double corners were
Yep, you would be
being
able.
compensated for the double corners.
Sure.
So it made a huge difference price wise, I think,
Yeah,
to be doing those two in tandem.
Yeah, especially if both counties is willing to share the cost.
right. And I
Yeah.
guess that's just a
But that was
larger,
coordinating on my own, that,
Exactly.
not the county surveyors working together.
Mhm.
that would be like a larger initiative. And right now, I just don't think we're quite there as far as like trying to get something in this year.
Mhm.
But, as far as like support, I'd be willing to help encourage this county surveyor and write a letter of support. As far as shared costs and things go, I think that would have to be kind of vetted by the lawyer to understand what we're actually allowed to do in some type of kind of
I can
Probably
mutual
doesn't make,
agreement.
probably doesn't make sense to exactly share the cost either. It's different requirements in different counties and different survey
And
history.
in the logistics of it, trying to get it to correspond together would be hard, to say the
It
least.
would be, I was thinking more along the lines of the other county surveyor saying, yes, we also are open to perpetuating these
Right.
adjacent corners.
And I
What-
think that's a
what
larger
counties-
conversation to have moving forward than today.
What lines are, what county lines are these adjacent to?
I guess I could just show you, but it's not
It's just-
necessarily,
One of the ideas, I think I shared with Rachel, moving forward with these, it would make sense to me, and at least in my mind, that if we was working on these outer boundaries of Monroe County and adjacent counties, would we not want to start with the areas of the most population that would benefit from it
well,
the most at the beginning?
That makes sense.
I think there's a lot of nuances in there, and this kind of addresses that a little bit,
Mhm.
but also we kind of want to work off the work that we've already done. So
enough.
that kind of ties into one of these projects, kind of builds off of our service agreement that we had with Miss Ozer. It kind of continues that line.
Mhm.
Am I closing the Word documents? Sorry, I'm not used to
I
this.
don't know, it
computer.
might.
Install
Install
updates,
updates on-
ask me later. Okay.
That's always my answer.
Okay, it didn't go away. So here's Van Buren. Van Buren, Richland, I think
Mhm.
are good. You kind of got some parts of the city in Van Buren, not much.
Mhm.
Richland is kind of the town of Ellettsville.
Mhm.
But again, this is kind of just moving up,
Mhm.
and let me bring up the other project. So it would be these corners. And then we got the same corners for Indian Creek that kind of builds onto the project that we had lit for Miss Ozer, and she was working in these corners. So
So it
so
doesn't actually touch.
it doesn't touch, but we're getting close to kind of having more of a contiguous understanding. So honestly, after these agreements, I think, looking at this western side of the county would be kind of what we're trying to establish, which makes a lot of sense if you think of the town of Ellettsville is kind of on the western side. You got the
Some of
two
the-
school corps that could, benefit from that are divided in this community by Richland and Bean Blossom Township, which are, north of this, but still on the west side.
I think there was a county line agreement done with Owen County and Monroe maybe 10 years ago or so.
Sounds about right.
I don't know how much of the Owen Monroe line, like.
I've seen it,
sections
but I
of it.
can't remember exactly where it lied at. Was it north of Hardscrabble?
I'm not sure. And then there's also some that was done whenever Beach Creek Township all got perpetuated in Greene County, which is the northeast township, I believe. And well, unless I'm forgetting, but there's some stuff that was done. There's some Harrison lines that were set on the
Mhm.
Monroe
And
County
Greene County
corners
line
too. Yeah, and there's,
And-
I don't know how that worked in terms of
That's
the
part,
plats, how the plats look,
I've got that. It's an old Bledsoe survey that you're talking about.
but those are both things that aren't that old.
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's a lot of recent work out here too, but it's pretty limited. And, my approach is to kind of try to perpetuate this whole county
Sure.
in tandem with kind of doing perpetuation survey work as well. And this 4 contiguous square miles, I think, really gives extra time and consideration to really kind of render opinion and a determination on where the surveyors would like to hold that location. And
So why aren't those top 3 corners in there? They recently.
they meet those standards, yeah. So a lot of these are well established as well, so it's kind of just tying into the work and, getting the coordinates and having those certified and
Mhm.
kind of just continuing to meet the new standard. And then hopefully, in 20 years from now, whole county will look like this. That's why I'm really trying to have a great kind of baseline of kind of what the cost is, so we can kind of really, achieve that goal. And I do kind of try to weigh on the surveyor's compassion about perpetuating the county. As far as this has been where you worked for how many years now?
Probably 30 years now.
All right, don't go grabbing any forks out of any dishwasher. Careful. I heard you can pull your back.
Right.
But so, yeah, I think that is one element that I try to kind of bring into the discussion that, this is beneficial for this office and every surveyor that's doing work in this county. But again, we'll just kind of see how it moves forward, because if I can't hire a professional surveyor, then we can't do this work in-house. And I think we're going to give it a real good effort next year. And if that doesn't happen, then the only way to achieve these standards is to use my perpetuation fund. And that I'm trying to make it sustainable. So that's kind of the office update. So be looking for these. I will be sending these out to the surveyors to get quotes back. And like I said, I'm hoping to work with 2 different firms and not giving both of the contracts to the same firm. So there's my questions and my thoughts on that. Again, it's like I said, that we're really formulating a strategic approach and kind of a baseline of kind of what we've been able to accomplish to kind of really evaluate that and kind of move this project forward. So I think I got support outside of this discussion with the commissioners and council with kind of moving this project forward as well. They have been supportive in previous requests. So there's that. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen.
Not meaning to rush the meeting along, but Jackson is on a timeline again today, so I want to get us moving on our main agenda that we came here for today. But thank you for the info on the new perpetuation stuff that's going to be released.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Sorry to do it. I think just due to the fact that we're talking about it and the public wasn't able to kind of catch along. I'm just going to bring those documents up real quickly to show the public the area of interest, just to be very transparent. So my apologies for not sharing the screen originally. So again, what was stated is kind of the area of interest for the Monroe County Corner Perpetuation Project. This is in Indian Creek, and we're looking at section 6, 7, 8, and 18 and 19. And then also at the same time, we're going to be looking for this project that's in Van Buren, where it's still section 6, 7, 18, and 19. And we'll be sending those out soon for quotes. Jason, go ahead. All you have to do is unmute yourself.
It's still not showing up. We just see the agenda on this end.
Okay, screen. There we go. Thank you, Jason. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, again, Van Buren, section 6, 7, 18, 19, and then Indian Creek, section 6, 7, 18, and 19 are the areas of interest for Monroe County's Corner Perpetuation Project that is paid for out of a dedicated section corner perpetuation fund that is the responsibility of the Monroe County Surveyor, which is me. All right, we'll move along. There's our office update. Now, our old business is still the same review of the surveys that are part of a corner perpetuation project. And we're looking to certify corners Richland 011, Richland 013, Richland 015, Richland 017, Richland Q09, Richland Q11, Richland Q13, Richland Q15, and Richland Q17. As noted, the highlighted Richland Q11 is a new monument that has not previously been certified. We've had a little at time, so I'm going to ask if there was some more focused questions by Ms. Ozer that Mr. Deckard could kind of give some clarification. And then also I wanted to kind of ask Mr. Deckard, was there any monument here that was previously certified that you did not hold, and if so, why? So we could start with Ms. Ozer, and I will bring up Richland 011. Unless the board wants to proceed in a different manner, that's what my recommendation is.
Well, I don't remember having questions about 011. I remember having questions about 013. Were we talking about 011 last time?
I think we talked about it, but then we just kind of backed away due to time.
Okay, so
Would you
what,
tell me what page number that is, since you were looking at the same thing?
it doesn't have page numbers. Sorry.
I'll find it.
But they do seem to be in order.
Page 72.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jason.
that says Q13, so 011 is a center. And
Okay.
Perhaps we had some
013 is a
questions
wood
about
post.
ties or something.
Wood post. That's not what you and I talked about. Yes, but so you didn't have a question about 011, is that correct?
Not that I can see. on it.
Okay.
We have the archived record, so
But it looks to be the same monument, right? There,
Yes.
you found a pipe both times.
that's,
Yes, 011.
This is 013, nothing but 013.
no.
The
oh,
only
I'm
thing
sorry.
might have been, maybe there was a question. I think,
I really think it was due to just timing and trying to
well,
get a
yeah,
good sense, a good stopping point. I do think we did start conversation, and this is all me pulling from memory. So if anyone kind of has it different, please jump in. But I think we were just trying to get a good stopping point so we could certify what we had already looked at.
so I think it was 013. So let me just
Mhm.
read about that so I can ask.
So I
questions.
could keep everyone up to date. What you're saying is you have no questions for 011, but you do have a question for 013. So you want to move to Richland 013.
Yes, and I
Okay.
guess what I see on 013, I don't really have a question. Just last time I didn't have a chance to even read this, and there was a big red note on it, and I was like, I can't, I
Oh,
don't know.
there's a big no.
But it looks like the theory of location addresses the issue. It doesn't talk about the red note specifically, but it says that a wooden post is used and that the old tie sheet used a pipe and the pipe wasn't found, but they thought that the post was right anyways. So this is not a recertification of the existing certified monument. This is a different monument than what's currently certified.
Okay, that's kind of what that question was.
So that red
refer-
note was saying like, we don't know if this is right. And Eric is saying, yep, it is not right.
And do you want to expand on that, Eric?
Okay, so let's see here. 013.
I will say I'll try to move these projects quicker to the review board, so they're not like, several months old by the time we're re-looking at them, because I do know that
It's 22, section 22.
you guys stay constant in the field, and it's probably easier to address these in a more timely manner.
Well, and also I don't actually have a question because it's addressed. And
Mhm.
they clearly made the conscious decision, knowing that there used to be another pipe.
Right,
That
and
this
we
was
didn't,
right.
and we didn't find it. It was driven next to the wood post.
And you've
Right.
already, as your time as a professional surveyor in the surveyor's office, indicated that you had some concerns with this monument, and that's why we have the administrative note on there that's in red on our tie sheet. That is, not signed, not dated, it's one of those that I'm still somewhat curious how they actually find themselves in the official book, but they are. And so, moving forward, we would just leave this archived one attached to the new one. So that information's always prevalent and to anyone looking at it.
Will the red note just stay on there too?
We're not going to remove the red note.
That seems, I should have dated the red note.
wonder, I bet you could probably
It's
find
probably
that
in the
out.
comments. You could probably add it,
Mhm.
or the comment.
Right, so.
Yeah.
So
Can-
also
can you-
reference, yep, also referenced in this survey. So,
And you don't have to go in complete detail, but kind of a quick summary of kind of
quick
what.
summary of what we'd found out there is a fence line that runs east and west from this fence post and also to the north. So lines of possession line up here. We had found a survey by Todd Borgen that was recorded 2021. We went over, tied in on some of his survey monuments and held the post the same as he had held the post during the course of his survey. So this was a copy of his survey, which would have been in section 22. See that?
Right, and you indicated with Cargus's tie record in your theory of location, so
Mhm.
that kind of, I guess, pointing that out because I think that's very important to kind of have that in place whenever you're not really accepting a previous monument, so. I wouldn't have any other additional questions. It's my question is bigger than the question here for this board, and that's like, how does this move forward if like, oh, that red note for Richland was made in 2/27/2017. Is not really, I think, needed to be talked about today in this meeting, but like, now that we have two different records that have been used in a surveyor, if they have set up on this previous one, but now we have another monument record, that becomes kind of a due process
Mhm.
civil issue. And I'm just kind of curious, how that, if that ever becomes a due process and a judge does determine like which
Position to hold.
yeah, I wonder how that makes it back to us so we can keep our records, in pristine,
Right.
condition.
I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, you could be looking at a difference between a section corner and a property corner, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what could be happening here. I've seen situations before, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be the judge that makes the decision on where the property corner is.
So,
at.
and so I guess I only bring it up to kind of, get everyone to kind of think along the lines that we're going to encounter a lot of these
Mhm.
moving forward with kind of the heightened standards and
Mhm.
our, identifying a best method or practice, I think is still needed. So we haven't really came to a very strategic approach of how to deal with this outside of making all of the evidence available where if you're getting the most recent monument record plus this older one, and you just have all that information available. So over time, as this becomes more prevalent, because I know it will, let's just continue to have that as an open-ended discussion before we really kind of streamline a great process of how to deal with this.
I'll just add that I really like having them both because I've seen surveys and I think done surveys where you go back and you can tell like all these legal descriptions were written off of this other section, the section corner when it was here and now it's here.
Mhm.
But we at least know where it was when it was here. We know what time frame it was used for. And in those surveys, I'm not going to say all these deeds that were written, all these legal descriptions are wrong because these are wrong. I'm going to say they were all written off of here. And even if both monuments exist, I can tie to both of them. I can say point of commencement per deed and actual section corner, tie them both together with bearings and distances so everybody can see what's going on. And it depends on where they fall in relation to the section line, but I think knowing this office, preserving that information and making it, I love how it's at the back of the current
It's a
record.
layer, like, kind
Because-
of like an
Yeah.
onion, right?
Then that way there's no like, it doesn't have to be so hard to dig in and find out if there was an old, like on this one, we'll see, oh, okay, it used to be a pipe and now we're holding a post. and we know that the office used to pull the pipe, it doesn't have to be like,
And we don't know if any
hassle to figure that
surveyor, I mean, did you find any surveys that held the pinch pipe when you were looking into that?
I don't think so. So
Is
pull up
the
six.
Todd Borgman survey mentioned on the tie sheet?
Look at the date of the top. Surveys.
it just says was found to agree with surveys, deeds, and lines of application. The Todd Borgman survey is probably listed for that section.
Yeah,
in
for
the-
that
in the
section,
recorded survey.
In the report.
very last one on the reference surveys on the survey itself.
Okay. Um,
Right.
I think that would be a good note to
That was
put on this record.
That was the same survey,
So
right?
let me get to Richmond. 013 to make it maybe continue to adding that down. So I'll leave this to the side as a reminder.
How is that technically gonna work?
Technically, maybe add to the, within this. In other evidence, maybe just kind of reference the Borgman survey. Do you think that would be appropriate?
Let's see what we got here
What
from
I'm,
theory.
what I'm thinking is that we could just reference the Todd Borgman survey and other evidence.
Sure.
And the only reason I would like to be kind of more detailed on that is just due to the history of this monumentation.
So pull the tie for 013, we'll add,
And we'll add these as far as on our ends through the administrative process. Just as long as you guys support the additional information being added.
I think it seems, I just think it seems weird to have you guys revise anything that's not in the gray on these, unless Eric's okay with it, but it's like, it's signed by him,
right,
so like,
we'll add it, Tron, is where I was at with it.
Okay.
We will add it and then resend it to you. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is
but
that-
they still have
But
to.
in the gray, we can add the instrument number though.
Well, in the gray, well, that's kind of where I was thinking is like you could, there's two ways you could do it. You could do county surveyor approval, and then you personally could put a note below that in the gray that says that additional note.
I like what you're
Or
saying,
you
is
could have
keeping all
Eric.
the office administrative changes in the gray. I think that's good. And then I guess just defer to what Eric would prefer.
Yeah, where Eric could edit it
It
and
makes,
re-sign it. and send it.
right, it makes me no difference. I mean, if you want me to add it to the other evidence,
I
then I
think-
will have to, I'll have to resend it to
If
you.
you're okay with that, I think that would be great, just due to the fact
I'm
that,
fine with that, yeah.
yeah, it just, outside of that, they're gonna have to hold a survey to kind of look
Yeah.
at that evidence.
That Todd Borgman survey, let me get that data up here.
Maybe moving forward, I might address a little this in the outline of kind of the agreement where if you're not holding a previous one, that we add kind of some of the reference surveys. So it's on the tie sheet.
And also moving forward with these things, I think I'm seeing a direction that the board's heading as far as what's expected on these things, so we can make sure that in the future, anything like that, we're gonna go into a little bit more detail in certain parts.
Yeah, perfect. I've seen that happen. Ms. Ozer doesn't do as much as business as Mr. Decker does through the planning department, but I've seen your surveys completely morph over time with what they wanting and what they need, and they're just really easy to look at, so.
Well, I mean, it's always evolving. I mean, you look back at 1999, what corner perpetuation looked like in this area and also in Greene County area, and how that has evolved to this. Same way with the plats and stuff. So it's always kind of a learning curve and always adding stuff here and there. So
Well,
Yep.
I'm gonna be respectful of your time and kind of push through. Thank you, and
do we have a tag?
we'll just make that note.
It's in that briefcase. Should be a little earmark that we could put on there.
I
So-
don't have any questions about O13.
Okay, no questions for Richland 013.
Although, where's the, can I see that highlighted agenda? I didn't see it.
Oh, the one that has. Making these. I have it right here too. if you
So
want to know.
just stick it in there, put that back in its location.
All right, no questions for Richland 015. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up, Mr. Decker? If not, we can move right to 017.
Nothing to be added.
Okay,
So, going to 015, now we're in section 22, Jeff.
yep, we're in. Oh, I'm like, wait. Okay. So Richland 017,
Mhm.
the north of section 27, south of section 22.
I don't have any questions.
I have the archive one up on the screen. If you want to refer to it, I'll move along to. Well,
Well, O17, I personally don't have questions. Do not have questions.
did you have any other comments that you would like to make?
No comments on 017.
Okay. Moving along to Richland Q09. That's a section corner. Oh, that's a nice picture of that stone.
Just give me that. Just got that. Please jump back up to the top. It's up to Q09.
So we have found limestone monument with a plus ordinance in the center of a 0.7 foot by 0.3 foot limestone monument, flush with the ground at the southeast corner of section 10. It's kind of next to the state road 46. We have the previous one too, that was referenced by Steve and Vargas. Holding the same limestone. That was referenced in your theory of location. So it wasn't an X, it was a dot then? Is that what that's indicating? It's just zoomed out. I might have just said it wrong because it's in parentheses. Quotations marks. Sorry.
That's what theirs,
Little bit
theirs says a little dot.
Yeah, a little dot. From where I was looking at it, looked like an X, so I just needed to zoom in. Okay, great.
I have no questions about Q09. here.
Okay. Any additional comments, from Mr. Decker?
None.
We'll move along to Richland Q11. And that is a monument that has not been previously certified. So
Reading the theory of location makes perfect sense. There's a lot of history of when it was first calculated in 1974, and just now set by you guys.
Okay, this
So
one,
I don't have any questions about that.
this is the Heart Street one, right?
We had reference to it on survey.
That's right, and then
We
we calculated back to the expanded, that's right.
Yeah, so I guess my alarm's up. No, I put 250 extra cents. So I have a timeline too. With my bad back, I drove in and used street parking, so my meter's up at 5:15. So just one point is, this is kind of the theory of location that would have been really nice on that previous one. So this kind of shows kind of what we would hope to see whenever you're not really holding another monument or it's never been previously certified.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of exactly what
What you're
our
looking
hopes are
for us to
to see.
expand upon?
Mhm. So just kind of make that note. And was there any additional comments? Hearing no questions. from
No.
so, okay. We will move forward to Richland Q13, and I think three more, including this one. That was previously tied by Edmund Farkas, and we got a date of September 1984. He's holding a set brass plate in the center line of Hart Street Road. You got a railroad spike found 2 inches below ground in Hart Street Road. Do you think that it's just been reset, or do you think that that brass plate, it kind of looks like a railroad spike?
Ties checked, so.
Okay,
So we think that maybe we just didn't uncover the brass plate due to the depth of the asphalt. Once we got to the head of the railroad spike, then that's kind of
okay.
where it stopped at. So we've got, like I said, ties are checking out.
And we talked about kind of a brass plate last time, and still felt comfortable with certifying that monument. So the ties checking.
Yeah, I'm looking at the theory and the ties and it's all making sense over here.
So no additional questions.
No, not sure.
Okay. Mr. Decker, do you have any additional comments you would like to make?
No.
No. We'll move along to Richland Q15.
Okay, that's the next one down, section 22.
That was previously certified. 1984. There we go. It looked like Mr. Farkas was out there working in this area. I really like just the fact that, you know, they're generally in the same location and they got the same dates. So it looks like, you know, that project was kind of just moving forward. I hope I didn't mute myself. Can we still be heard, Jason?
Yes.
Okay, I accidentally hit the mute on the remote, but it seems like we still have audio. So yeah, I would just really like seeing that work being kind of in a streamlined manner.
Like the ties.
Brass
check.
plate and
Correct.
concrete of Hart Street. So are we calling it a railroad spike? No, brass monument found. Okay. Must have been soft asphalt that day or something.
Maybe the hammer drill worked a little better that day.
Should have been one of those like 90-degree days where, you know, it cuts through like a knife through butter, you know?
One of those 90-degree November 10th.
Oh, well, I like that.
Could have been. And they've got 2 of the ties from 1984 shot with GPS.
Mhm.
Oh, that brass tablet was actually just engraved, it looks like. When they first said it.
Previous time. Or no, oh yeah, here it is. Okay.
I don't have any questions on that one. Q.
I would just say if you do have any like raw photos that just didn't make the cut because of the template and need to have nothing, you know, other than them hanging out in a folder in a digital format, we would take those in a heartbeat and store them in our raw folders. So
Gotcha.
just kind of keep that, I think, as a consideration of any photos that you aren't going to put on the tie sheet. We'd love to take, you know,
Have them,
Have 'em, yeah.
just maybe they have a different angle or something. Sure.
So just keep that in mind. That's the only comment I have. And the reason that comment came, it precipitated due to the fact that you don't have one looking straight down. So
Mhm, mhm.
I'm curious if maybe you took one and it just, there's no clarity to it, so it doesn't really add any value to the tie sheet, but it doesn't mean that, you know, we wouldn't like to have a copy if possible. So,
Yeah, it's always kind of a, a coin flip to me. Do you show the surrounding areas and what's out there physically that we were looking at, or do we look at the monument? I
Right.
mean, if we could show that you're looking down the center of the street and it's right down the yellow stripe, or whether you're looking down a fence row or something like that, that's physical, that somebody can see just at a quick glance, where maybe the picture of the monument isn't the best, but now in the case of the stone or something like that, or like you
Right.
said, that maybe it's a big pipe versus a small pipe, I don't know. We kind of look at that stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah, we
these, look at
pretty
the,
don't know how much value we'll extrapolate from it, but you never know.
the
absolutely.
pictures that they do have though are really, like on this one, if you're actually looking for it.
Oh, you're gonna find it, yeah.
Super helpful
Right.
You
for
even have-
finding it, because you know, like, oh, it's lined up with that driveway and it's right in the center line.
So one thing we do here, and I don't think it's really going to be part of the agreement moving forward, but we just take pictures of every witness too. So just
Okay.
to have,
Okay.
I think that could pay a big benefit.
I think
with
I think it's not a
recovering
bad
on that.
idea. I mean, you get into situations where trees die and it might be just a little stump or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, or in some cases, it's a new power pole and you was looking for a power pole, but they've since maybe replaced that 50-year-old pole
Right.
that.
So again, just kind of a thought, if it seems to have like good value, we might try to tie it into the scope of work, but
Mhm.
we're not trying to ask for really anything additional outside of a couple references on the monument record itself, as far as, more time on your behalf is going to be more of a cost on ours. So, we got to find a nice medium there.
We'll have questions about Q7.
Oh, so there's no questions about Q17 either. And I don't know if I stated that there was no questions about Q15 and any additional comments. I'm not sure if I already asked that. I don't see any. Then
Nope,
we
none.
move to Richland Q17. Those are just indicated, no additional questions.
They had two prioritized in that one too.
They had to prioritize. I was just going to bring up the historic monument right here. Oh, look, that's so awesome. We had another Edmund Farkas dated the same time of the year and got the same set brass pipe. Set brass plate with an railroad spike in the center. So you got the railroad spike and brass plate found. Really nice. Some nice road. There's some beautiful country out there.
Busy.
Is it busy?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't travel Hart Street that frequently. But, all right. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of the certification of monuments. I guess I will offer a motion and see if one of the board members want to carry that as theirs. So I would be looking for a motion to certify corners Richland 011, Richland 013, Richland 015, Richland 017, Richland Q. That's the one that we we're going to ask for the addition.
13.
13, yes.
Okay. continue. I'll restate my motion. So we're looking for certification, or not my motion, but the motion that we're looking for is the certification of corners Richland 011, Richland 013, with the condition of adding an additional note of the reference survey and the theory of location, particularly the Todd Boardman one. If there's any other additional information, I think that's relevant. Go ahead and add that, but just condition to adding more information in the theory of location.
Got it.
Richland 015, Richland 017, Richland Q09, Richland Q11, Richland Q13, Richland Q15, and Richland Q17.
I would like to make a motion that's what Tron just said verbatim.
You can say so moved too.
Oh,
Pretty sure.
so moved.
All right, so we have a motion. We'll be looking for a second.
Have to recuse myself of the vote here, right? So, I mean, I can second.
You can
the
still
motion. I can
second. Yeah,
second the
I think
motion.
that's what we did last
Okay.
time.
Yep, I second it.
So we have a motion and a second, and as indicated, Mr. Decker's going to recuse himself. I will still call on him. Mr. Decker,
Pass.
I think you said recuse.
Recused.
Okay. And Ms. Ozer.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Corners are certified. Public input, we're looking for public input. If there's anyone on the Zoom that's here for public input, please unmute yourself. I don't know what this is.
Attending building maintenance.
Oh, okay, building maintenance, so they can lock the doors. All right, seeing no one online and no one here in person, there's no public comment, and the adoption of the next meeting, Donna? is the date?
27th, I believe.
We have it at the 27th. We will be sending out reminders and kind of work with you if there seems to be an issue with getting a quorum. You know, we can always pivot and try to find a better date, but right now that's the one on the radar. And then I guess just we move to adjournment.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved. We're adjourned. Thank you, Jason, TSD, and thank you, Jason, Surveyor Office. I'm going to go ahead and stop share and leave the meeting. You can close it down to TSD whenever you're ready.